Welcome into Moving the Chains, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. I'm Kevin Thomas alongside Jarrell Hendricks. We've got a great interview today, a very special guest, the new head coach of the Wade Hampton Generals, Reuben Wright. Coach, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you all for having me.
We appreciate you giving us some time. We really do. If this is you guys' first time tuning in, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter/X, Instagram, YouTube, and more at Moving Chains. Our website, movingchains.com, and our podcast available on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Coach Wright was hired in March. He was the defensive coordinator at Wharton in Florida for the past season. Prior, he spent time at the University of South Florida, Western Carolina, Presbyterian, Greenwood, Carolina, Eastside, Blythewood, Seneca, Northwestern, and Greer. Coach, let's start there. What's that transition been like, kind of getting up here to the Palmetto State out of Florida and getting settled in there at Wade Hampton?
Well, it's been a challenge. I was talking to you guys a little earlier, talking to you a little bit about my background. Was obviously with Coach Jeff Scott and his staff at the University of South Florida. Thought we had it going in the right direction. Probably needed a little bit more time, but unfortunately, the powers that be felt they needed to make a change, and we were coming back at the end of that season after being let go. But my son was a junior at Wharton at the time, expressed his interest in wanting to graduate with his friends, felt we had a great football program. Fortunately for me, Wharton had a position open, so I was able to be the defensive coordinator, be at a great school with some great athletes. Got to see my son grow, mature as a young man, as a football player, and it's one of the most fulfilling things I've done. So actually just being able to come back home, my wife and I are originally from Greer, so this is getting back home for us. So it's really good. You know, in my career, I'm at a place right now where I'm happy. I'm settled. I want to do something different, and just didn't really know which direction I was heading. And fortunately enough for me, Wade Hampton came open, and, you know, they took a chance on me, and I'm grateful.
Coach, you mentioned your last couple of stops at South Florida and Wharton, but can you tell us a little bit more about your history, specifically coaching the Palmetto State previously?
Yes. Was blessed to be able. I attended Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina, and right after I graduated, man, my former head coach, Stuart Holcomb, just offered me a position to kind of help out with the defensive line. And, man, getting started with them and working with guys at that level, I knew this is what I truly wanted to do. Got enrolled at Converse College, got my master's and my teacher certificate, and was able to get on board teaching and coaching. It was definitely great at Greer because I left as a 15-0 state champion and came back coaching as a 15-0 state champion. So, man, I thought it was all about me. I thought I was the good luck piece. So, but being at Greer, that rich tradition, that was home for me. That was awesome. Great football. People cared about it. And just saw an opportunity to grow because Greer was home. So I wanted to do something different and was able to join Coach Moose Wallace's staff at Northwestern. And, man, you talk about some athletes up in Rock Hill. Had it rocking and rolling there. Brian Smith at Seneca offered me my first coordinator's job. And really loved it at Seneca, man. That's one of my favorite jobs. And then met one of my friends who's a friend for life, Jeff Scott. He just got the job at Blythewood, approached me about being his defensive coordinator and strength and conditioning coach. You know, within the first 30 seconds of meeting him, I knew he was a guy that had his head on straight, had a good program, and that was something I wanted to be a part of and I wanted to learn from. And so the rest is history with us. We were able to win a state championship. Then he and I went to PC together. Obviously, our paths kind of split then. He went on to Clemson, and I kind of took a little sabbatical out of coaching for a while and was able to get back in it at Eastside for a year. Then got offered the head coaching job at Carolina High School. I was there for 4 years. Left there, went to Greenwood, and then got the opportunity to go back to college again at Western Carolina and then on at USF.
Coach, what was it about Wade Hampton that really excited you and made you want to get back here and take over that position there with the Generals?
Well, being close to family, I knew I wanted to be in the upstate. We have family here, and we knew this was a place we wanted to settle. To be honest with you, if I'm going to be transparent, I don't know if Wade Hampton was even on my radar. You know how it is. You kind of put those feelers out, and you got some buddies that are coaches, and it's like, hey, Reuben, I got something for you, man. Want you to be my DC or be this or be that. So I kind of had some stuff on the back burner. And just Coach Choplin and I kind of got in touch with each other. He got me up on an interview. And, like I said, if I'm going to be transparent, I knew Wade Hampton was moving up. I knew they were in a tough region. I just knew it wouldn't be a very attractive job to a lot of people. And but I'm in a point in my career, I want to be around good people. And when I interviewed and met Dr. Grant, saw his vision for Wade Hampton, and met Coach Choplin, our athletic director, saw his vision for our program, I knew Wade Hampton was a place I wanted to be. I'm not a spring chicken to where I got to find the shiny coin. I want to work with good people, and that's important to me. And I want to be around good kids. And Wade Hampton's got a great academic program, great teachers, great kids. And I want to be a part of helping us move and make that next step. And, why not me? So that's the approach I took. And, I didn't shy away from anything. And I really believe that I'm where God wants me to be.
Kind of piggybacking off that, Coach, you talking about making that next step. What are some things you identified early on in the process when you got there in March, to really help that program? Because to be frank, I mean, they've struggled recently, and there's a lot of academic constraints and things like that. So what did you do to kind of make your stamp on the program?
Well, I got to give Coach Travis Miller a shout out, man. He took the job at York, and he had set a good foundation. And Wade, a lot of parents and fans don't realize this, but youth is kind of tough, man, when you're coaching a young football team and they're going to take their lumps. And our football team is very young. So I've kind of came in and kind of put my twist on it. I think the guys are very intrigued about my background, especially with all the transfer portal stuff going on at the NCAA level. You're kind of starting to see some of that stuff trickle down into the high school level where kids are looking for the new shiny penny. And I've just shared my experiences with them. Look, I've just left the college ranks. I know college coaches. If you're looking to get to college, I'm the guy that can help get you there. I know how it works. And I also tell them that, look, transferring and doing a lot of things, that's not necessarily the answer. It's camaraderie. It's sportsmanship, it's teams, it's a brotherhood. I always tell them every coach that wins some type of championship, after they interview that coach, I promise you will say, there's something special about this team. And that's what I'm trying to sell our guys on. If you guys will stay here, buy into our coaching staff, what we're trying to instill, what we're trying to do, we're trying to help you become a good young man, a good husband, a good father one day, and let the chips fall where they may. I just left Wharton High School. We had unbelievable athletes, but as our coaching staff, we were constantly fighting to bond our boys and to improve our culture because some of those guys had transferred in. And to be quite honest with you, whether they were 3 stars or 4 stars, they kind of upset the apple cart a little bit as far as the camaraderie. And as talented as we were and as many games as we should have won, we just kind of fell short. So I've been trying to preach that to our guys. Everything about transferring or trying to be part of a state championship, it's all right here if you guys will just stick it out and kind of listen to us. So that's been the big preaching moment. And like I said, I'm the new kid on the block. They're intrigued by my energy. I'm a high energy guy. We got music at practice. We there's work to be done, but we're going to have a good time too. Because at the end of the day, it's a kid's game.
Sure.
And in order, it's going to be a long haul for us. If we do what we should do, we're going to be playing all the way to December. So there's some times we need to buckle down, but then there's some times we shouldn't lose sight of. Let's have fun and let's get after it and let's bond and let's do some fun things at practice.
We mentioned, Coach, you were hired in March, which is maybe a little bit late in the cycle compared to some guys there when they usually get hired around the mid-year point or whatnot. But have you been able to finalize your staff there at Wade Hampton? Have you brought in a bunch of guys? Do you have a couple guys you're looking for, or how's that shaping up for you?
I have, man, and I'm telling you, I have been blessed. Like I said, if I'm going to be transparent, boy, when you apply for some of these high-profile jobs, oh, man, you get all the help and people call you. But when you get one, Wade Hampton's attractive to me. To many other people, they thought it was a stretch, and there was a lot of guys that just were kind of, good luck to you. I'm not interested in that, but Our offensive coordinator is Tommy Bobo. And if you guys don't know Tommy Bobo, man, he has been around some good football programs at Union, at Dorman. He was the head coach at Wren. I mean, a ton of experience. And, he's been at the highest points and he's been at the lowest points. And like I said, us moving into this new region with all these teams, I mean, he's not fazed by them. I mean, he's played against them, coached against them, and no big deal. Our defensive coordinator, I was able to hire him from Greenville High. He was an assistant there. His name is Daniel Rowe. Daniel and I met each other when I worked at Eastside. I was the defensive coordinator, and Daniel was our DB coach. And one thing I noticed about Daniel, the way our practice structure was, there would be some downtime for either the offensive coaches or the defensive coaches. Well, I would kind of migrate to our JV team, and, some coaches would stand around and talk. But Daniel, on his own, would get any of the players that didn't have a lot of experience, didn't get to practice a lot, and work with them. And I'd give them a little nickname. I said, there's Rose Renegades. And I said, man, if I ever get a chance to work with him, I want to do that again, just from that experience right there, because he's a worker. He looks for work. He's very knowledgeable. He's a salt of the earth guy. Faith is important to him. And he's the type of guy you need in any program. And I was tickled to death to be able to kind of pull him away from Greenville High and get him back into coaching. And so it's been a joy. Fortunately for me, I didn't have to look very far. There was a lot of guys that are Wade Hampton guys. Wade Hampton's important to them. And I've had a chance to meet and interview with them, and everything just worked out. So our staff is pretty much full. And like I said, that's been a blessing because I was transitioning back from Tampa and, being on the road, making phone calls. It was a very tough time for me, but I was grateful and blessed to be able to have those guys stick around with me.
Coach, let's jump into schematics for a little bit. What do you plan on doing with, Coach Rowe's defense, Coach Bobo's offense, and will you be calling plays on the defensive side?
Well, actually, I'm going to step back and be the head coach. I trust Coach Bobo. He's very knowledgeable. I like the scheme we're using now. We're operating out of a little 11 personnel type, some schemes out of 11 personnel. We got a great tight end and Will K. He could be an H-back. He can be a tight end. He can split out. So we're going to try to utilize him a lot. And what I kind of step forth with before I talk about Coach Rowe, just coming from the collegiate level, I just seen some things happen that just being at the high school level. For example, a lot of those times at the collegiate level, some of those coaches, they're blessed to be able to recruit the players to run their defenses and offenses.
Sure.
At the high school level, man, we got what we got. And what I told our coaches, I said, if you're going to be handcuffed by a playbook, this isn't the staff for you. I want you to be creative. I want you to help our athletes be successful in order to help our team and to help themselves. And that's what we're doing. I mean, obviously there is a base that we have and we base off of our base, but we also build off that to where our players can have success and help us to be successful on Thursday and Friday nights. I guess I forgot, my fault, forgot to talk about defense. Coach Rowe, we'll base out of a four-man front, but we're looking at some things. We got a long, rangy guy that could rush the passer in James Gay and Jay Haygood. So there's some guys right there at defensive end that are good guys that have got speed, got ability to also drop. So not only will we be looking at some four-man stuff, but also maybe transition into some three-man front stuff to where we can kind of be versatile.
Coach, you mentioned a couple names there that are going to be, key contributors. Maybe who are a few more guys we should be on the lookout for on Friday nights this fall?
Well, offensively, like I said, we are very young. Quarterback situation, we got Tegan Hambrick. Tegan's going to be a rising sophomore. He's a sophomore. And Jamarion McKinney, who's played a lot of wide receiver, cornerback, he's a quarterback. He's just an all-out athlete. So those two guys will kind of be fighting it out as far as our quarterback situation is going. Our offensive line, our anchor there is Hunter McCall. Hunter's probably about 6'5", about 310, big guy, probably got some college potential. So he'll kind of help us out up front. Wide outs, we got some young guys that can help us out. Jaquan Haygood is one guy we're going to look at. His brother's the defensive end I just talked about. Mm-hmm. He's a rising 10th grader. We just got a lot of youth. And, you know, in a perfect world, it would be great if those guys could play on Thursday nights and just kind of learn the game. But unfortunately, with our situation at Wade Hampton, I mean, as I said, I'm going to be transparent. When you're not as successful as you want to be, it kind of makes it tough for kids to come out and they go, well, you know, they just want to be part of something special. And a lot of kids they don't understand the process yet. So in order for us to get the program like we want it, the numbers like we want, we're going to have some success on the field. But these guys are going to look to help us on the offensive side, defensive side of the ball. I talked about our 2 defensive ends, talked about Will Kay. Will Kay can also do some things both ways. We have a defensive lineman, Jamarion Smith, that we're looking for big things out of. He'll be a junior. Linebacker, Angel Gomez. He'll be a rising sophomore. Evan Maharis. We're looking for some great things out of them. And our defensive backfield, we've just been kind of plugging some guys in and seeing what's the best fit. So it's kind of a defensive backfield by committee. So younger guys, but we're interested. We're excited. We're ready to see what the season has in store for us.
Coach, we're catching you late in the off season, so you've been through spring ball. We've gone through the 7-on-7 circuits, summer workouts and all that fun stuff. You know, what have you learned about your team this off season as you prepare to go into fall camp?
Well, the guys that we are counting on are very resilient. They've bought in, and I'm extremely proud of that. They're hardworking, and they're committed. I think we've been through some tough times. And like I said, obviously me transitioning during spring practice, I was going back and forth from Tampa. I'd be up here a couple of days, then have to go back and finish out my contract. But the guys never used any of that as an excuse. They were solid. They were brought in. So I'm real excited about what I see. Like I said now, our numbers, I guess once school starts, I'm hoping that's the thing I was not able to do. Obviously having to finish out a contract, I wasn't able to beat the halls and walk the hallways and do the recruiting like I'd like. So that was kind of a tough deal for us as coaches because some of the new additions that we picked up were coming from different schools as well. But as far as the crew we have out there, I couldn't be more happier to be their coach. I'm excited to be where I am. Like I said, this has been a godsend for myself, my family, and I'm excited to see what's in store for us.
Coach, I want to ask you this because we mentioned earlier you've been around the block. You've coached at several different places, coached under some great coaches. You mentioned Coach Wallace and Coach Smith and whatnot. But who are some guys? I mean, maybe it's those two that have really kind of molded the way that you coach, the way you go about business. And who are some guys you like to kind of pick things up? Maybe even today it is, I guess.
Okay, well, the guy that gave me the first chance to go to college was Bobby Bentley, and working at PC with Bobby. And then he and I got to work together at USF again, just being able to bounce stuff off him. He's been a great coach, has a great career. And what I really admire about Bobby is he always thought outside the box. If you mentioned something off the wall and he thought it'd work, I mean, he would implement it. He wasn't the type of guy that says, well, we got to do 2-a-days because that's what we've always done. If there was a situation where somebody said, hey, man, if you practice for 30 minutes every day, it'll work, he'd try it. And, I've picked that up from him. Obviously, being around Coach Jeff Scott has been great. Coach Wallace, his ministry of he wanted as many players as possible on his team. He wanted to have 200 in the program because he truly felt that if kids were part of football, that, the idle time could be taken away. You got kids involved with something. So that was great. Obviously, great mentor to me, gave me a chance to start coaching. Coach Stuart Holcomb, it's been great with him. Coach Mark Spear at Western Carolina, another salt of the earth guy, really liked how he handled relationships with the players and allowed us coaches. He hired us to coach. And that's some of the things I've kind of taken from him. The guys I've kind of hired, I'm not here to kind of look over your shoulder. You want to coach? I want you to coach. Brian Smith, his spirituality. The list goes on and on and on, man. It's been great. And what I've done is taken bits and pieces of all these coaches and then kind of interject myself because I have to. And I truly have been blessed to be part of such a great fraternity of coaches that I've been able to take bits and pieces from. I mean, these are great guys that I still stay in touch with to this day. And I feel like if I needed to call them for something, they'd be more than happy to, bend over backwards to help me.
Coach, and speaking with you, this kind of feels like a final stop for you. So I want to ask about the community there. How have they embraced you? What is the relationship, right? Because that's a huge integral part of your program. So kind of how have they embraced you, and how are they helping your program right now?
The community has been awesome. I mean, if I think about it hard enough, I'll kind of get a little emotional. I mean, throughout the process, the hiring process, the interview process, there were several parents that were on the panel. I thought that was important because I thought they had a say-so in who they wanted their next leader to be. The Booster Club, at a couple of other stops I was at as a head coach and in other coaching positions, there was a time I didn't have a Booster Club. And having a Booster Club to step in and go, Coach, what do we need? What do you need for us to do to help you be successful? And to offer that help, that's been awesome. All the parents have reached out. I mean, even in this short transition period, like truly, I moved up here. It's been a month. I moved June 15th. So here it is, July 17th. I've truly been in the upstate solidified for a month now. And the support from the Wade Hampton community, alumni, people pouring back in saying, hey, man, we support you, whatever you need, has been awesome. Like I'm home.
Take your financial game to the next level with Founders Federal Credit Union. Reach your full potential. Relax. Join Founders today. Visit an office near you or relaxjoinfounders.com to apply. Federally insured by NCUA, member qualification required.
Coach, got a couple easier ones here for you before that you go today. You mentioned playing some music at practice there. Maybe it's on the bus to an away game, or maybe in your office on a Friday night for a home game. But what's on your pregame playlist as you get ready to take the field?
Oh, my playlist?
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I got a mixture of stuff. The kids kind of pick on me. Some of these people I know, some of them I don't. I normally have some hip hop on my phone. Man, I'll go from hip hop. I'll even have some heavy metal on there, man. It's whatever toots my horn, man. And some of my favorites are, I'm a Young Dolph fan, so I'll play it. Yeah, so I'm a Dolph man. Go. I'll play some Alice in Chains, some old school Nirvana. My son has got me on the NBA young boy kick. So man, it just flows. And throughout practice it flows. So yeah, so we have fun with that, and the kids enjoy it, and that's just part of it. And the music has been part of practice. Once the past few years I've been coaching, Coach Scott played it at practice at USF. Coach Spear played it at practice at Western Carolina, and even at Greenwood with Dan Pippen. Who's a great friend of mine. Learned an awful lot from him, and he gave me an opportunity to jump back into coaching. Just after Carolina, things didn't kind of go like I wanted. I was kind of down in the dumps, and for the powerhouse of Greenwood to reach out to me and give me an opportunity to be a coordinator, I'm forever in debt to him for taking a chance on me. And, even Pippen in his old school ways, the kids would kind of pick on him, but he'd even play music at practice.
I love that. Young Dolph is one of my personal favorites. I love the list there. Rest in peace, Young Dolph. Yes. But we'll move on. I'll cut you some slack. This is a question that we ask anybody that joins our program. Kevin and I are big foodies. We got a head start. We're in the Greenville area, the upstate, so we'll cut you some slack. You've only been here a month. But what are some restaurants that you've been able to frequent since you've been coming back and forth from Tampa?
Okay, definitely, man. I got to give my Taylor's folks some shout-outs, man. Because actually right now I'm living in Greer, and Greer's home for me, but I don't work at Greer High School. So that's up to Will Young to promote the Greer area. I'm going to give my Taylor's boys some shout-outs, and my boys and girls in Taylor's. Getting back to, man, there's the Clock Restaurant. Oh, my goodness, right there on Pleasantburg and 29. So you definitely got to jump in there and get you a chili cheeseburger plate, half and half, get the onion rings and the fries.
Talk to me, Coach.
And yeah, man, when you want to kind of spice it up a little bit, there's a restaurant down Pleasantburg about 2 miles from Wade Hampton High School called Sasha's. The best Colombian food you'll ever put in your mouth, man. So you got a little bit of flavor there with the Latin flavor. And then, man, if you want to get you some pizza, man, we got Pizza City right about half a mile up from Wade Hampton. So as you can see, I'm a heavy guy. These places are not very good for me. I got to stay out of them, but, man, I just can't. So it's some good eating up in Wade Hampton. You guys come up to that area, man. Please stop through.
We'll do it. Well, Coach, I do want to ask you about, your time with Jeff Scott, especially at Blythewood. That was it's a pretty crazy story. First year of the school when you guys win the state title there. I mean, what was that, ride like, and just how special was that season there for the Bengals?
Oh, man, it was awesome. But once again, as great of a coach as Coach Scott is, he set the foundation. But, man, we had some phenomenal players. And when you're just kind of in it, you just see them every day and you just don't know how special they are. But not only were they great athletes, but they were good people. I don't know if I've told this story a lot of times. And obviously, when you're in teaching and you're in public education, you got to be careful of how you tread. But some of the kids volunteered to go to an FCA camp. And there was some special stuff that took place one night. And those kids came back to school and they knew the commitment they made at that FCA camp that they had to walk that walk when they came back to school. And I tell a lot of people that state championship was won that night at FCA camp when our boys made a commitment to walk a certain way, to carry themselves as a certain way. And they did that. And not only, was everybody on the team that way? No, but the culture was set. And everybody knew they had to fall in line and at least look the part and act the part because that was the expectation. And so, we kind of went in and we thought we had a pretty good team. And then it just started rolling. I mean, we were kind of afraid. We knew Ridgeview had a very good football team and we lost that first football game. And then we had powerhouse Lamar, Richland Northeast, who just lost to Burns in the state championship the year before. So, and Fairfield Central, who was loaded. So we were going, hey, man, what are we? And our boys just found a way to win. And it just kept rolling. And we got in the playoffs. And, I mean, it was just special. Like I said, it was special, a special group of people. And, man, those are some of my most funnest moments, man, being with some of those guys and being with Coach Scott and that staff.
Coach, we've taken too much of your time, but we'd like to pull out this question for people who've been around the state. What's some of the best environments that you've been able to coach in or even play in the state of South Carolina?
In the state of South Carolina, obviously being a Greer boy, Burns was a big rival for us. So, man, there were times when I was there coaching and playing, and not to take anything from both teams, not because they're still good, but I just hadn't been in that environment in a while. But, man, we were both contending, playing for state championships, and, man, I put that up against anybody. Rock Hill Northwestern, oh, my goodness. Now, that is a good one. I mean, you talking about wall-to-wall, standing room only. Those have been some good environments, man. Another good rivalry, Seneca and Daniel. I mean, that's a good rivalry. Great atmosphere. Other ones in the state of South Carolina, obviously, when you're at Greenwood and you're rolling, I mean, man, they come out, man. Football is important to them. So Greenwood versus anybody is a good game. And definitely being on the collegiate level, man, I've been to the Swamp. I've been to Tuscaloosa. And to be honest with you, regardless of the record, South Florida and Central Florida, I mean, that's a knockout game. But, man, it's loud, it's exciting, great atmospheres on the collegiate level as well.
Well, last one here for you, Coach. Do you guys have any goals you've already set for this 2024 season? And do you mind sharing some of those with us here on the program?
Well, to be honest with you, our goals are a little unique. We have Travelers Rest week 0. So that's our main focus right now. I told her I'm not worried about who we play in the region. I'm worried about step 1. I'm worried about step one, and I'm worried about us continuing to bond as brothers and to bond our team and to improve our culture. And I've told them from day one, I've been around a lot of football. The best football teams at the end of the year are the ones that have good culture, a good family atmosphere, and that coach can say at the end of the year, this is a special team. And that's pretty much our goal right there, to bond and continue to build our culture.
Well, this has been great. I want everyone to go check out Coach Wright and the Generals program on Twitter and Facebook. They do a great job posting updates on their program and their kids. Definitely follow them on there. Like I mentioned, check us out on Facebook and all social pages at Movin Chains, movingchains.com, our podcast on Apple, Spotify, Google, and more. Movin The Chains brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Drill, anything else for Coach? We'll let him go today.
Coach Wright, thank you so much for your time and joining our program today. We love, getting to know you, your plans for this general program, and, just everything about the state of South Carolina we love diving into. So, you taking on that challenge to go, help this program and building on that foundation that's been laid. We're rooting for you guys, except for me personally, week 0. I will not be rooting for you. I'm a Tiara Devil Dog. After week 0, I'm pulling for you guys. But I wish you guys continued success, stay healthy, and just, just do well this year.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Appreciate that, Coach. Look forward to stopping by a practice or a game, getting to meet you in person, and best of luck this season, all right?
Thank you. Go Generals.
Get ready for the ultimate South Carolina high school football experience with Movin The Chains. From previews to recaps, we've got you covered. Dive into our expert preview shows, predicting winners and sharing insights. Then join us post-game for the thrilling recaps, exclusive interviews, and highlights you won't find anywhere else. Plus, connect with fellow fans on our Friday night spaces on Twitter/X. No one covers South Carolina high school football like us. Join us at Movin Chains on all social media platforms and visit movinchains.com today.